Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another Finding Hope Through Faith. I am Daniel, your host, if you will. And today we're in Dueteronomy chapter 32, and then we should be finishing up that, hopefully today. And then we're going to get into Joshua, and then, of course, the book of Enoch. This may be a little shorter video, but we'll figure it out all together. Anyway, thanks for coming to see me, but let's get to it. Nothing to it but to do it, right? Anyway. Okay, so last time we were together in Dueteronomy, they were about to cross the Jordan into the land that they were given by God. And so now, and they've all done what they're supposed to do. They've heard all the rules, regulations, and statutes and all that stuff. And now they're about to get released into the wild to do whatever they do. But they know, Moses knows, that they're not going to do the right thing. They know that he knows that they're going to do something bad. So he gave them a way to fix it if and when they do. And so yeah, let's get to it. And so last time it was, they had a song that they were going to sing. So I think this is where it starts. Dueteronomy chapter 32. Give ear, O heavens, while I speak. Let the earth hearken to the words of my mouth. May my instructions soak in the rain and my discourse permeate like the dew, like a downpour upon the grass, like a shower upon the crops. For I will sing the Lord's renown. O proclaim the greatness of our God. The rock, how faultless are his deeds, how right are all his ways. A faithful God, without deceit, how just and upright he is. Yet basely has he been treated by this degenerate children, a perverse and crooked race. It is the Lord to be thus repaid by you, O stupid and foolish people. Is he not your Father who created you? Has he not made you and established you? Think back on the days of old. Reflect on the years of age upon age. Ask your father, and he will inform you. Ask your elders, and they will tell you. When the Most High assigned the nations their heritage, when he parceled out the descendants of Adam, he set up those boundaries of the peoples after the number of the sons of God. While the Lord's own portion was Jacob, his hereditary share was Israel. He found them in a wilderness, a wasteland of howling desert. He shielded them and cared for them, guarding them as an apple of his eye. As an eagle incites his nestlings forth by hovering over his brood, so he spread his wings to receive them and bore them up on his pinions. The Lord alone was their leader. No strange god was with him. He had them ride triumphant over the summits of the land and live off the products of its fields, giving them honey to suck from its rocks and olive oil from its hard, stony ground, butter from its cows and milk from its sheep, with the fat of its lambs and rams, its Bashan bulls and goats, with the cream of its finest wheat, and the foaming blood of its grapes you drank. So Jacob ate his fill. The darling grew fat and frisky. You became fat and gross and gorged. The spurned the God who made them and scorned their saving rock. They provoked him with strange gods and angered him with abominable idols. They offered sacrifice to demons, to no gods, to gods whom they had not known before, to newcomers just arrived, of whom their fathers had never stood in awe. You were unmindful of the rock that begot you. You forgot the God who gave you birth. When the Lord saw this, he was filled with loathing and anger towards the sons and daughters. I will hide my face from them, he said, and see what will become of them. What a fickle race they are, sons with no loyalty in them. Since they have provoked me with their no God and angered me with their vain idols, I will provoke them with a no people. With a foolish nation I will anger them. For by my wrath a fire is enkindled that shall rage to the depths of the netherworld, consuming the earth with its yield and licking with flames the roots of the mountains. I will spend on them woe upon woe and exhaust all my arrows against them. emaciating hunger and consuming fever and bitter pestilence. And the teeth of wild beasts I will send among them, with the venom of reptiles gilding in the dust. Snatched away by the sword in the street, and by sheer terror at home, shall be the youth, and sword in the street of youth and the maiden alike. The nursing babe as well as the hoary old man. Hoary? Anyway, I would have said, I will make an end of them and blot out their name from men's memories. Had I not feared the insolence of their enemies, feared that these foes would mistakenly boast, from our own hand won the victory. The Lord had nothing to do with it. For they are people devoid of reason, having no understanding. If they had insight, they would realize what happened. They would understand their future and say, how could one man roust 1,000, or 2 men put 10,000 to flight, unless it was because their rock sold them and the Lord delivered them up? Indeed, their rock is not like our rock, and our foes are under condemnation. They are a branch of Sodom's vine stock, and from the vineyards of Gomorrah. Poisonous are their grapes, and bitter are their clusters. Their wine is the venom of dragons and the cruel poison of cobras. It's not this preserved in my treasury, sealed up in my storehouse, against the day of vengeance and requital, against the time they lose their footing. Close at hand is the day of their disaster, and their doom is rushing upon them. Surely the Lord shall do justice for his people. On the servants he shall have pity. When he sees their strength failing, and their protected and unprotected alike disappearing, he will say, where are their gods, whom they relied on as their rock? Let those who ate the fat of your sacrifices and drank the wine of your libations rise up now and help you. Let them be your protection. Learn then that I alone am God, and there is no God besides me. It is I who bring both death and life, I who inflict wounds and heal them, and from my hand there is no rescue. To the heavens I raise my hand and swear, as surely as I live forever, I will sharpen my flashing sword, and my hand shall lay hold of my quiver. With vengeance I will repay my foes and requite those who hate me. I will make my arrows drunk with blood, and my sword shall gorge itself with flesh. When the blood of the slain and the captured, flesh from the heads of the enemy leaders, exult with him, your heavens, glorify him, all you angels of God, for he avenges the blood of his servants and purges his people's land. So Moses, together with Joshua, son of Nun, went and recited all the words of this song to the people to hear. When Moses had finished speaking all the words to Israel, he said, take to heart all the warning which I have now given you, and which you must impress on your children, that you may carry out carefully every word of this law. For this is no trivial matter for you. Rather, it means your very life, since it is by this means that you are to enjoy a long life on the land which you will cross the Jordan to occupy. On that very day the Lord said to Moses, go up to Mount Nebo, here in the Abarim mountains. It is the land of Moab facing Jericho, and view the land of Canaan, which I am giving to the Israelites as their possession. Then you shall die on the mountain you have climbed, and shall be taken to your people, just as your brother Aaron died on Mount Hor, and on there was taken to his people, because both of you broke faith with me among the Israelites at the waters of Meribah Kadesh in the desert of Zin, by failing to manifest my sanctity among the Israelites. You may indeed view the land at a distance, but you shall not enter that land which I am giving to the Israelites. I think maybe he means business. I'm just going to say. we don't want to anger the God. Let's go on a little bit more. Chapter 33. This is the blessing which Moses, the man of God, pronounced upon the Israelites before he died. He said, "The Lord came from Sinai and dawned on his people from Seir. He shone forth from Mount Paran and advanced from Kadesh, Meribath Kadesh. While at his right hand a fire blazed forth, and his wrath devastated the nations. But all his holy ones were in his hand. They followed at his feet, and he bore them upon his pinions. A law he gave to us. He made the community of Jacob his domain, and he became king of his darling. When the chiefs of his people assembled, and the tribes of Israel came together, may Reuben live and not die out, but let his men be few." The following is for Judah, he said. "The Lord hears the cry of Judah. You will bring him to his people. His own hands defend his cause, and you will be his help against his foes." Of Levi, he said, "To Levi belong to your Thummim, to the man of your favor, your Urim. For you put him to the test at Massa, and you contended with him at the waters of Meribah. He said to his father, I regard him not. His brothers he would not acknowledge, and his own children he refused to recognize. Thus the Levites keep your words, and your covenant they uphold. They promulgate your decisions to Jacob and your law to Israel. They bring the smoke of sacrifice to your nostrils, and burnt offerings to your altar. Bless, O Lord, his possessions, and accept the ministry of his hands. Break the backs of his adversaries and of his foes, that they may not rise. Of Benjamin he said, Benjamin is the beloved of the Lord, who shelters him all the day, when he abides securely at his breast. Of Joseph he said, Blessed be the Lord in his land, with the best of the skies above and the abyss crouching beneath, with the best of the produce of the year and the choicest sheaves of the months, when the finest gifts of the age-old mountains and the best of from the timeless hills, with the best of the earth and its fullness, and the favor of him who dwells in the bush. These shall come upon the head of Joseph, and upon the brow of the prince among his brothers. The majestic bull, his father's firstborn, whose horns are those of a wild ox, with which to gore the nations, even those at the ends of the earth. These are the myriads of Ephraim, and these the thousands of Manasseh. Of Zebulun he said, Rejoice in your pursuits, in you, Issachar, in your tents. You who invite the tribes up to the mountains where feasts are duly held, because you suck up the abundance of the seas and the hidden treasures of the sand. Of Gad he said, Blessed be he who has made Gad so vast. He lies there like a lion, and has seized the arm of the head of prey. He saw the beast should be his own princely portion was assigned. While the heads of the people were gathered, he carried out justice of the Lord and his decrees respecting Israel. Of Dan he said, Dan is a lion's whelp that springs forth from Bashan. Of Naphtali he said, Naphtali is enriched with favors and filled with blessings of the Lord. The lake and south of it are his possession. Of Asher he said, More blessed than the other sons be Asher. May he be the favorite among his brothers. As the oil of his olive trees runs over his feet, may your bolts be of iron and bronze. May your strength endure throughout all of your days. There is no God like the God of the darling, who rides the heavens in his power and rides the skies in his majesty. He spread out the primeval tent. He extended the ancient canopy. He drove the enemy out of your way, and the Amorite he destroyed. Israel was dwelt securely, and the fountain of Jacob has been undisturbed in the land of grain and wine, where the heavens drip with dew. How fortunate you are, O Israel! Where else is a nation victorious in the Lord? The Lord is your saving shield, and his sword is your glory. Your enemies fawn upon you as you stride upon their heights. Last chapter. Then Moses went up to the plains of Moab, to Mount Nebo, the headland which faces Jericho. And the Lord showed him all the land, Gilead, as far as Dan, all Naphtali, the land of Ephraim and Manasseh, all the land of Judah, as far as the western sea, the Negeb, the circuit of Jordan, with the lowlands of Jericho, city of the palms, as far as Zoar. The Lord then said to him, This is the land which I swore to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, that I would give their descendants. I have let you feast your eyes upon it, but you shall not cross it over. So there in the land of Moab, Moses, the servant of the Lord, died, as the Lord had said. And he was buried in the ravine opposite Beth Peor in the land of Moab. But to this day no one knows of the place of his burial. Moses was 120 years old when he died, yet his eyes were undimmed and his vigor unbatted. For 30 days the Israelites wept for Moses in the plains of Moab, till they had completed the period of grief and mourning for Moses. Now Joshua, son of Nun, was filled with the spirit of wisdom, since Moses had laid his hands upon him. And so the Israelites gave him their obedience, thus carrying out the Lord's command to Moses. Since then, no prophet has arisen in Israel like Moses, whom the Lord knew face to face. He had no equal in all the signs of wonders the Lord sent him to perform in the land of Egypt against Pharaoh and all his servants, and against all his land, and for the might and the terrifying power that Moses exhibited in the sight of all Israel. That's pretty awesome. Moses had a long life, man. A very, very long life. But that one thing, he made one mistake, and then he spent his whole life trying to make up for it, and God was like, nah, dog. You didn't do what I asked you to do. Therefore, you don't get to go to the land, which I promised to the forefathers. Which is unfortunate. But he already told him. But he still followed him. He knew he wasn't going to get the eternal reward. But he still did it anyway. That's a man. That's a strong man if I ever know one. Anyway. Thanks for coming to see me, guys. I appreciate it. We'll see you next time. And next book is Joshua. Have a good day.